Hey, Queens Voice. I hope everybody's doing good today. Peter Koufalis here with a friend of ours, Henry Ikezi. Henry, nice to see you again.
A pleasure being here, Peter.
So, you guys might have seen our earlier video we did a few months back with Henry regarding the shelter in Rego Park and the trash in Queens and so on and so forth. Anyway, we want to sit down with him again and just see what he's up to these days and see what issues are on his mind regarding making Queens a better place for our families and all the communities. So, Henry, please tell us what you've been up to since we last spoke and what's on your mind regarding the current situation in Queens.
Well, since the last time we spoke, Peter, I've been hitting the streets, talking to our neighbors here in Queens, Jamaica, Jackson Heights, Cambria Heights, Springfield Gardens, Flushing, just kind of getting a feel of how people feel. And quite frankly, they're not happy. The mess that's going on with the migrants, our education is a mess. Public safety is an issue. Cops barely respond to crime. They're underfunded. And I'm quite frankly not happy as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we, as you know and as our viewers know, we cover, Queens. We go to all the different communities. And unfortunately, since you and I last spoke and did our last video, I would say people are more unhappy now because I think the violence has gotten worse. More migrants are here draining our cash, our resources, causing a lot of trouble. And unfortunately, Queens is really a big mess right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's funny because when I turn on the news, I'm not seeing any of these core issues on the news. I'm not seeing the issues that are discussing the migrants that we have flown into the country and into our neighborhoods, into our communities, camping outside where our kids are going to school. I'm not hearing about the billions of dollars that are being allocated to fund the migrants being here. I'm not hearing about the mess that our schools, our Board of Education is dealing with as far as being underfunded, and our kids' extracurricular activities are being cut short. Kids are roaming the streets after school rather than staying in school and doing what they truly enjoy doing. I'm not seeing any of that in the news. You know what I see on the news, Peter? And it's quite sad. I see the Trump hearing on the news all day long.
Yeah.
Is this set up to distract us from the main issues at hand?
I think so.
I think we need the media to start being honest with the people and show what people truly care about, not the sham trial that's going on by Mr. Trump, or President Trump, rather.
It's unfortunately, I believe, a engineered distraction where if everybody's focused on, no matter what side you're on, you're focused on it, you're glued to your TV. And you're right, unfortunately, our journalists, our media are not being honest with us, basically talking about, all the issues we have, infrastructure, crime. We had a lot of crime prior to all these illegals coming here in the last 3 years, but things have gotten worse. We just had a 19-year-old Venezuelan shoot 2 cops the other day here in Jackson Heights, Corona area. That not only is he here illegally, crossed Eagle Pass in Texas, but we've been putting him up in a hotel, paying for his clothes, paying for his debit card, and then you turn around and shoot at our cops. So the thing that scares me the most, and I always say it, is if they're that brazen to shoot at uniformed police officers, what would they do to you and I or our families or our neighbors? It's dangerous.
I think we have to unite the people, and we have to unite them under common sense policies. Put politics aside. This is the lives of Americans, folks in Queens, that's on the table at this point. We've got to unite the folks, and we have to get our budget priorities in order. We cannot be deploying capital to fund migrants, illegals that are breaking the law, might I add, coming in here when we have kids that are here struggling to be educated. We have families that have worked hard here, that are paying taxes here, expecting the very basic essentials of living, security, education, public safety. We've lost track of all that. So we got to get our budget priorities together, put funding where it truly counts to help our people out.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And, when we go from neighborhood to neighborhood and speak with all types of people, all walks of life, everybody's telling us the same thing. Where's the money going? Why aren't they taking care of our own sick people, our own veterans, our own schools, our infrastructure? And it just seems like we're supposed to pay our taxes and work hard and do the right thing to support those and reward those who come here illegally, which I think is just very sick. And I'm not saying all of them are bad, but enough of them are where countless Americans have been hurt, raped, killed, drugs are being sold, theft. How many Rite Aids and CVS's in the Queens went out of business already, and they're just leaving because, unfortunately, the cops aren't able to do their job?
It's disgusting.
It's terrible.
If you like me, if you're an American and you love this country, call your elected officials and ask them why is it that their budget priorities are not in order? Why are they spending billions of dollars housing migrants, funding migrants? If you're an American that's struggling every single day to put food on the table for your family and you're doing the right thing every single day, ask them why they're not taking care of you and your family. Why is the priority and why is the budget loaded up for these migrants that are here breaking the law in most cases?
Yeah, and one thing, we recently did an interview with somebody else, and he was a veteran. He pointed out that statewide, they spent $5 million a year on the veterans, which seems like a lot, maybe, maybe not. But he pointed out at the same time that Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn, which is just one migrant tent city, one facility, one location, $15 million a year. So just that one location is 3 times more. So what are we saying to those people who serve the country, who have PTSD, have physical issues, need medicine, surgery, that type of stuff? We're basically putting those people on the back burner and putting other people who are breaking off first and rewarding them, and we're taking from our own people, whether they're the elderly, the veterans, children in schools, that aren't reading up to par, or mathematics, science, and we're basically giving our resources to those. And unfortunately, we're getting a lot of bad apples because we've seen countless reports in Venezuela alone, not to pick on Venezuela, but a lot of countries like them are telling their prisoners, stay here and rot or go to the U.S. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to get the get out of jail card, come here, and they're not going to start going to church. They're going to start selling drugs, shooting people, as we just saw yesterday. And it's a very dangerous time in Queens, which unfortunately is getting the brunt of the illegal immigrants here in New York City. And we already have the brunt of the shelters. Now we have the brunt of the illegal immigrant shelters. So Queens, unfortunately, is just a dumping ground overall, and we have to fix it.
Yeah, Peter, I love this country so much. I feel like there is no other place to live that's as good as living here in the States. So we have to fight to make sure we preserve what many people have fought and died for this country to be as great as it is. We got to do what we can to preserve the democracy here. So folks that are listening, they need to pay attention to what's going on the ground, not being deceived by the media, not buying the fluff, not buying the hype. Hold your elected officials accountable and make sure they're doing the right thing for you. And thankfully, we live in a democracy where the voice of the people are always going to win. So we have to unite and speak up for what's right for the future of our kids and our family and this country that we love so much.
Oh yeah, listen, 100%. And to everybody out there, no matter where you live in Queens, don't be lazy, don't be complacent. Email, call, mail a letter, snail mail, the old school way. Because we were just at a event the other day, and one of the experts there about a different issue said each letter you mail to an elected official, like a council person, has the weight of 100 letters. Because a lot of people don't send letters these days. They've gotten behind technology, the keyboard. So I would tell everybody, call, email, mail, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers. Throughout the borough of Queens, no matter who represents you, if it's a Republican, an independent, a Democrat, let them know you're not happy. And then find out where they stand. What are they voting on? What are they voting on to take our tax dollars to do what with? Find out. And if they are doing the wrong thing that doesn't align with your values and what we're speaking about here, then let them know you're going to vote them out, and you have to vote for the alternative. It's beyond what color their party is. It's beyond the affiliation. It's about who's going to do the right thing, who has good values. And as you guys know, I'm very passionate when I talk about things. I don't mince my words. That's why I'm supporting this man to be the next borough president of Queens, because I know he's going to do the right thing. And we know right now the current borough president, Donovan Richards, is not putting the American people first. He's not putting the residents of Queens first. He's not putting veterans first. And you see the chaos and the horrors that we live in every community. Some are worse than others, unfortunately. But we have to make change. And, that's why I urge everybody to support Henry Ikezi, because I know that he will do the right thing and his heart's in the right place to not only where he lives or where I live, but for all of the communities throughout our borough. And he wants to restore the life that we're accustomed to, which is peace, tranquility. And unfortunately, I don't think any neighborhood has it right now.
Not at all. And it's quite sad. It's quite sad. And if you're in Queens and you've lived here as long as I've lived here, we can do better. I feel it. I know we can do better.
We can do a lot better.
We can do a lot. Can do a lot better. So we don't have to accept the mess that's going on right now. And to fix this is very simple. We just got to bring common sense back to Queens, and we do it with our voices. And like as Peter said, send letters, and we can't stop. This is a fight for the future of this country. We got to keep pushing. Make sure election time, vote. Vote along the right party line that's going to do the right thing, not who you've been told to vote for, not who you hear on the news is going to do the right thing. Do your research. Focus on common sense. Focus on what matters to you. And when we start doing that and we stop being brainwashed by this machine, I think our country is going to start heading in the right direction.
I agree with you. And don't listen to the news because they endorse somebody or they don't. Don't necessarily, let that sway you. Look up that woman or that man's background. Look up where they stand on issues, what they're all about, what they're willing to do, what they want to do. Because unfortunately, a lot of the people now that are incumbents that have been there for a while, they haven't done right by us prior to this mess, and they've caused this mess. And it's time for them to go. We've got to get new blood in there. We've got to get people. My heart, I believe, we got to get people like Henry, and there's other good people out there like Henry, but we're just focusing right now on this race. But Queens is a mess. It's a very large, diverse, beautiful borough with a lot of nice areas of people from all over the world. But we have to fix it, start taking care of those who are born here, those who came here legally, our veterans, our children, our elderly. And we just can't be giving our resources to those who come here illegally, putting them up in five-star hotels. They're all walking around with brand new Jordans, brand new gear. And you see some of our own people, they can't put food on the table, and they're not getting those handouts. So we've got to do better for our own people.
That's what I talk about, the budget priorities. Our budget priorities are screwed up.
Yes.
Makes no sense. So we got to restore common sense and prosperity back to Queens.
And I know that you're going to be someone who's going to use the money of the taxpayers wisely. You're not going to spend it recklessly like Donovan and Adams and many of our other elected officials. You're going to sit down and I know in your heart, you know that money came from the working people of Queens, and you're going to want to allocate it that's going to benefit them, not hurt them.
I'm going to put the people of Queens first place. So if there's $1 that's going to be spent of the city's money, the money belongs to the people. So their needs need to come first place, not anybody else. And I'm compassionate. So when my people are taken care of, if there's anything left, then we have the ability to take care of other people.
Yeah, then we can look at somebody else, sure.
Until then, that's not going to happen, not under my watch.
And I know you're also going to look into why the last administration and the current one just likes to take our borough as a dumping ground for shelters for our own and also shelters for the illegal. It just seems like every hotel's been sold out in Queens and it's some kind of shelter. And it just seems like it's getting worse and worse. We were speaking off camera earlier about 6 or 7 locations in this borough where 35 to even hundreds of men are loitering in the streets, sitting around doing nothing, no jobs. And it's not a good feel when you have a family, when you have a house, when you have, you're going to school. You don't want your kids to go out. You don't want your women, your seniors. We don't know who these people are. And unfortunately, I'm not saying all of them, but way too many of them are bad apples who came here with bad intentions. And if they're going to shoot at uniformed police in Times Square or in Queens, what would they do to us or women or kids? It's unfortunate, a very bad situation that we really have to rectify yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah, it pains me to see what's going on. So I really hope that people out there listening to what we're saying, focus on common sense issues, focus on the real issues, not the kangaroo court issues that are going on, not the distractions. Focus on things that matter to you. Education, public safety, affordable housing, our communities. Focus on that and ask questions about that, and don't let them fool you.
And ask them questions. Don't be afraid to call your politicians, your people who represent you, if you're a constituent. Ask them, where do you stand on this issue? Because it's very black and white. They're for it or they're not. And ask them, where are you allocating the funding for? What are you doing with my money? And they have to be able to say that. And if not, everybody there has a computer or a smartphone. Look it up, and you can see how these folks, these men and women, have voted, what they are for, what they're against. If it doesn't align with your values and it doesn't look like it's good for your family, for our borough, for our city as a whole, you guys have to mobilize, get out there, get your family, your relatives, your coworkers, your neighbors, people from church, synagogue, mosque, wherever you guys go. Get people out there to vote. We have to vote. Our vote has to count. And the only way things are going to change if we change those people who are leading us down a spiral of destruction.
You couldn't have said it any better, Peter.
It's the only way it's going to change. So Henry, before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to plug, or website, any events you have coming up, anything you'd like to share with the viewers there?
On Instagram, we're very active on social media. I feel like that's the wave now. Our social media is real stuff that's going on. It's at Henry Ike, HenryIke. And if you want to donate, volunteer, or support the movement, you go to voteike.com, where you can see all of the great works that we're putting in. I have the most amazing team from Queens, Peter. These guys work tirelessly at no cost to make sure that the voices of the people in Queens are heard. And the more we grow and spread the message, the more people are going to realize that what's going on currently does not make any sense. And then we're going to start seeing change that we need now more than ever before.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you I've met a lot of his team, probably everybody, and he does have a very good team. They're dedicated. They really do want to change Queens for the better, and they do work very tirelessly for him, as he will for us once he does become the next borough president. So I would like to thank Mr. Henry Ikezi, a.k.a. Henry Ike, Vote Ike 2025, next borough president for Queens.
Thank you so much.
Thank you as always, Henry. We greatly appreciate it, and thank you for taking some time out to speak with the audience at Queen's Voice.
It's my pleasure being here.
Thank you, Henry.